Y'all, why? Tyrone's out there playing Call of Duty, and he's asking his friends if you had to fight an animal in real life, what animal would you fight? I would like to know your thoughts. Drop your answer in the chat. Please, I'd love to know. Hey, good people, welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me on another Sunday or whatever day you're watching this. Y'all already know, mimosas and makeup. Ooh, y'all, real fast. When Dr. Ash and I were in Vegas, we went to a brunch at this place in the Cosmopolitan called the Wicked Spoon. They had a frosted lavender Bellini. Oh my gosh. So basically it was peach puree, lavender in the form of like a lavender syrup, I believe, and then the sparkling wine. And it was like slushy. I'm gonna try and make that, y'all. I'm gonna try and make it. They do have lavender syrup on Amazon, so it's about to be on. I'm looking for a low carb option though. Anyway, that's not why y'all are here. You are here because today I'm gonna be talking about spring palettes. Spring has sprung and I can't believe it. So let's talk about 10 spring palettes in my collection that I really want to try to use very soon. If that sounds good to you, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think, and if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So yes, y'all, I cannot believe spring is here. March is almost over and we are just trucking along through 2023. I have pulled 10 palettes from my collection that I wanted to just chit chat about that gave me some spring feelings, and let me know if you have any of these. I think maybe a couple of them might be discontinued, but you know, that's okay because we're just going through our collection. They may remind you of palettes in your own collection that you have forgotten about or that you want to pull out. I do know that some people rotate their makeup collection seasonally. I just have everything out and it looks like hoarders in here for the moment. Let's go ahead and get started with palette number one. Now this first palette is a palette I don't really love, although the quality is nice, but the color story is semi-disjointed for me, as well as the actual palette itself. And this is the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. And when I say disjointed, I say that because of how this comes off. And it's always just a situation. But it was cute because in the promo, they had it looking like this. They had all these little poses and like, who's really doing that? Not me. I'm trying to keep my shades protected. Anyway, here is the palette. And as you can see, this definitely can give off some spring vibes. We have some bright pastel-esque shades. We've got this bright green here. It's kind of odd because this half of the palette is very spring. And not that this half isn't, but this half just reminds me of Melt. Automatically, I'm like, oh, Melt Gemini, you know what I mean? Better shimmer quality, probably. It does give me that vibe and even the layout of the palette a bit. I really would love to use this palette a little more. Now, when I have worn this palette in the past, because I can't tell you the last time I've used it, I don't think I did too much mixing of the sides. So basically, I had my 4 greens here, and then I had the rest of the shades. And I think I pretty much kept them together. I would really love to explore this palette by combining both sides of the palette. I think that would be great. I don't recall watching a whole lot of look inspo videos on this palette, so I think I'm going to search for some. Maybe I could do a Do We Still Love Her type video. I'd love to give this a try with my new eyeshadow lens, whatever that is. And that's palette number one. You know, Kaleidos really does the damn thing with their packaging, even if it's on something I don't want, because I don't think I bought anything in 2022 from Kaleidos. Maybe some lip clays, maybe, but no eyeshadow. Didn't even go for the blush, which was on my wish list. That's very sad, but not really. But packaging, they always do it. All right, this next palette is from my girl, Tasha. This is the pastel palette, and this is another palette that I probably haven't used since the video that I did on this palette. I do understand why a lot of people were not thrilled about this palette, but the thing about Natasha Denona is she comes out with so many different color stories. There's bound to be a color story or 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 that you don't like Circle Loco. Although Circle Loco would be a great compliment to sit or to play. I don't know if that's a good idea. I would give yourself maybe a few minutes of play and then I'll come listen to your bag.
A few minutes of play?
But I would not be overdoing it.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
A couple minutes of play.
But what does that mean? Does that mean hard play or just chill?
Easy.
Maybe just not doing any juking.
Easy play.
What does that mean? How does that look? No. Oh, that's definitely not it. I'm so sorry. You thought maybe just a couple little shots.
And then we're gonna go back in.
I don't know. I just have to see what's happening. We're supposed to go on vacation and it might not happen for August. I don't know. That's a lot of movement. I would just stand in one spot and shoot.
If I stand in one spot, never mind, I'm just gonna go to my...
Oh, maybe you can read. You want to read? Oh no, that cough.
No.
Maybe you should read. No, you can go on the other side of the door.
My throat's itching.
Did you take that allergy medicine? Oh, I don't think I gave it to you. Okay, August, this is making the video long.
Can I at least go?
Not in that t-shirt. August, I can't. I'm losing my train of thought about these pastels.
Bye, pastel.
Okay, so anyway, there's bound to be some palettes that you may not be interested in, and I can see why some people were not, especially, well, actually, I would say this. Let me know, because I don't know. If you have a rich skin tone, for some reason, I'm thinking these are going to look good.
I'm not Nike hoodies.
No.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong, because they could be ashy. And that's the issue here. Now on me, I mean, this gives me kind of a spring vibe because it's very like fairy-esque. And we have a couple of like regular-y shimmers, not super pastel. But I don't know. I kind of feel like this might, and this little, I don't know what they thought this is. If Tasha thought this was like Red Giant from Terra Moons, I'm not saying that's what she thought. Honey. Okay, let me move on. I want to give this palette another go. I want to give it another whirl and see what we can do. But I'm getting companion palette vibes from this. Let me know what you think. There's actually a palette in here that I think would be great with this one. So let me do that one as number 3. Ooh, matter of fact, there's a couple of palettes. Okay, 3 and 4. Let's move on to number 3. There's not a whole lot to be said about this at all, except I would like to use it because I spent my money on it. Palette number 3. Yes, I brought out the Bloom palette from Cara Cosmetics, and although it might not give spring vibes because it's very dark, I just thought about the idea of Bloom. Like my yard right now, I don't want to say that my house looks like an abandoned house, but it's like when you get that rain and the bushes just spring up, it just looks very unkempt. And I have always been a stickler about the bushes. Always, always. I cut them myself often, but I'm trying to move past that because I feel like I do okay, but I'm just too old for things to be subpar. So the landscapers are coming this week because I can't. So here's the Bloom palette from Cara Cosmetics. Oh, did you notice it's untouched? Yeah. That's a problem. So I really want to use this palette soon. I think it's beautiful. Let me show you something else real fast. Do you see how that swirl of where they poured in the shadow or whatever? Like that's not a pressed one. Like these have like these swirls in it, like they poured it in. I'm so into that. I really am. Like I don't even want to touch it because of that. But y'all know Clarity shimmers are out of this world. We could stand to have the smaller pans. I think the brand might be moving that way. But this just reminds me of just beautiful maybe tropical, exotic flowers that you might not see here in Maryland. I would love to use this palette. I just think you can really make some beautiful looks. And I'm saying I think because I have not made any looks with this palette. So we need to get this one going. Actually, Clarity just had a very nice sale. They've had a few sales. So let me know if this is a palette that you have. Let me know if it's new to your collection. Like, is it something that you purchased recently? Because Clarity even had the daggone Apocalypse. Was it the Apocalypse? They had Apocalypse on sale and that new wedding palette. And I didn't get it. It was like one day only. I think it was 20% off. Maybe they'll do it again. Maybe they won't. All right, perhaps not. Let me calm down. So me and my friend Akil used to say that in high school all the time. Perhaps not. I don't know where that came from. I just dug it out. All right, now I think that the lightness of the Natasha Denona pastel palette would be a beautiful complement to the Bloom palette. That's what I wanted to get to, as well as this palette here, which is going to be number 4, which is the Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane Remastered palette. If this one looks untouched as well, it's because it is. I probably have swatched a couple of these shades, but I did purchase this one, and well, obviously I purchased this one, but I sold my original Plain Jane Remastered, and I was just thinking there was a difference in a few of the shades, but just with like formula upgrades and such, I got this one on sale, and this just reminds me of spring. You have these lighter multi-chrome shades. They're that smooth Adept formula that I really, really like, and I do think, let's just pair these up now and see if you think these would make great looks, because I would say yes. Ooh, I'm about to mess up my palettes. Look at that. Don't you think these would make a good team? Yes, I think they would. I think they would. A nice little multi-chrome fairy. And let's put Pastel next to Bloom, because we may really have something going on here. Yeah. Whoop. Wait a minute. Yep, I think these would be great together, because the Clarity shimmers are just out of control. They really are out of control. Like, I don't even know what else to say. Dang, that's making me want that wedding palette, and it's not on sale anymore. I don't think I would mind having that one in my palette count. Let me know if you got the wedding palette. It's called Bridal Party. That's what it's called. Swatched Out. You know what it was I was thinking about swatched out? I was thinking that Bridal Party palette, I'm gonna have to pop it up, reminded me a bit of the Pat McGrath Mothership 2 Sublime. Maybe I'll have to pop both of them up, which is more work for editing, but that's okay, because I need to know. I need to know, was I right? Because if it does, then I won't feel bad about not getting it. But yeah, these are gonna be great. These are great together. So that's 3 and 4. And let's move on so we're not here all day. Palette number 5 is from Nomad Cosmetics. It is not the Royal Europe palette, which is gorgeous. That might be a summer palette. This is America's Parks. Oh my gosh, I love America's Parks, y'all. This is just so nice. It is very nature-esque. It reminds me of taking a hike on the trails. That's what it reminds me of. And I love this palette. I really do. It's not super, super deep, but I do feel like you have enough to make some like kind of smokier looks. Not like really deep smoky, but smokier looks. Just using those two really. But I love the color story here. I really do. I think this one's gone, but it just reminds me of getting outdoors, enjoying the fresh air, going to the Grand Canyon. That's what I think about when I see this palette. I really like it. It always makes me happy. It's so earthy. Yes, this is a good one. This is a good one. Nomad, see something. That new palette, y'all. I'm saying that this look is in a good way, because they want to compete, okay? And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for that palette as well. Now let's move on. That was number 5. Number 6 is discontinued. So this is a great name. Boo Hoo. This is by Notoriously Morbid. First of all, this is one of my favorite covers from Notoriously Morbid. They do excellent packaging, excellent artwork. And when did this come out? I'm sure it didn't come out in the spring, but this palette actually gives me some spring vibes, especially when you look at the top row. And this looks super blown out, but you have a lot of iridescent duochrome shades. And when I think about spring, I really do typically think about like light and airy fairy looks, you know? And I like that. There are 2 mattes in the palette. You kind of have this, it's almost like a grayish, greenish, teal-y shade. And then you have this red, I don't know what you call this. I was gonna call it a melony shade, but not exactly. But then you have a bunch of iridescent shades. So I really like that for a spring look. And like I said, this whole top row, there's another matte here. It's like a lavender, a really light pale lavender pastel. But these are all going to be really beautiful on the eye. Then you have some deeper looks, and is this a flaky? Oh, it's actually not. This right here, okay. Again, this might be a palette that you might want to pair up with something else, like the Natasha Denona Pastel palette, or even the Clarity palette, because they have some deeper mattes if that's what you want. But if you want something just light and airy, you can get that here. This is a really nice palette. And it's funny because, you know, you have the little graves on the back, but this doesn't give me that deep dark vibe at all. It really does give me a springtime situation. Ooh, look at this. That. I'm gonna have to bring this one out. Well, I did bring it out. That's why it's in the video. But you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to use it. Oh, this one's nice too. Oh, this is a nice palette. They need to bring this one back. Bring it back. This one in Summertime Sadness. Bring it back because the girls are mad. I don't know. Why do brands discontinue things that people like? And then y'all want to bring out something else? No, just bring back the old stuff. Bring back the old stuff that we wanted and put the money back into that. Don't give me anything new that I'm not going to really like. You know what I'm saying? Okay, palette number 7 is another oldie but goodie. This is Vintage Rose from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. Now, Give Me Glow does not have my favorite matte formula, but the shimmers are beautiful. And this formulation is very similar to Clarity with the large pans. I believe that the owners are very, very good friends, and the packaging is very similar. I really do enjoy the shimmers from both Give Me Glow and Clarity. I just feel like they're outstanding. Let's just swatch a shade so y'all can see. Oh, we got Bouquet, we have Thorn. They're just very foiled, very opaque. They're beautiful shimmers. Really, really nice shimmers. Yes. So Vintage Rose, I think, is just beautiful because it's the perfect rose story. That's why Pat McGrath, I just need Pat McGrath, like, she could have done a rose palette that had a green in it, you know, like for the stem. Come on. But that's okay. I really do cherish this palette. Again, the mattes are not great. I think they work best if you tap them in, and probably something similar for the ones from Clarity as well. And I know that Give Me Glow has upgraded their mattes since then, and I'm sure Clarity has had some upgrades as well. So kind of the difficulty that I had may be obsolete. Is that the word I'm looking for? So the mattes might be better at this point. All right, palette number 8 is a palette I just did a video on, and this is the Flora Story palette from Odin's Eye. It is a collab with Amanda. Her channel is Makeup Just for Fun. This palette is a part of the Perfect World collection, and there was a look that I did where I was like, this look is so spring. So I definitely wanted to have this on my list. And as I am talking about palettes, and I worked with the new Nomad palette and looking at some of these, I don't know if these palettes in this collection was Odin's Eye's best work. I love this color story though. It's like the sage greens for me that really make it. And I love how they work with the purple shades. I just think this color story was so well done, very well put together. And it's not that the quality of the palette is bad at all, because it is not. I just think that the mattes were overly powdery in this particular palette. I have this one and the Sea Talk palette, and I'm not one to be very analytical, or I don't think I am, about eyeshadows. And I watch a lot of YouTube and content creators who can tell even within, you know, one brand, like if a formula is different. People say it a lot about Huda Beauty, Pat McGrath. But in this palette, I was like, I don't know why these mattes are so powdery. So before I realized that, I was just going in as per usual. And then I just was like, there was powder smoke all everywhere and I had a lot of fallout. So now that I know that I have to tap my brush off twice, I'm fine with the palette and I love the looks. And again, I love the color story. So I just wanted to share that one because I think that it restocked today, which is going to be yesterday when you're seeing this for the very last time. And I did say that in my video because that just came up a little earlier this week. This is a great spring story. It just reminds me of plants, which is what I believe it's supposed to kind of be. And congratulations again to Makeup Just for Fun for putting together just a really, really nice color story. So yes. Now I didn't do this on purpose, but the last two palettes happen to belong to Sydney Grace. And we're gonna start with On the Horizon. I actually wore this palette to work about maybe a week and a half ago. And out of the three palettes in the Temptalia collection, this one was really like the most earthy. And because of that, it just gave me a spring vibe, because I'm always thinking about like earth and renewing and blooming and growing and transitioning. And that's really what this palette reminds me of. And here it is. This is just man, this collection is one of my favorites, I think, of all time. I know that some people felt like the three palettes in this collection were so similar, but I don't think so. I don't think they are at all. Like, this one has a completely different vibe from Radiant Reflection and Quintessence. I really love this one. And I think that out of all three of the Temptalia palettes, this one is probably the easiest one to use. So I wanted to share this one and put it on the list because it just reminds me of spring, like a spring night, a spring evening. Ooh, yes. Late night happy hour. I won't be it. Anyway, that's palette number 9. Can you guess palette number 10? This is like the ultimate springtime palette for me, and I wanted to save it for last. It's actually one of my favorite palettes and cherished palettes in my collection. It will always be in my intro. It is the Tiny Marvels palette by our girl Mel Thompson in collaboration with Sydney Grace. I will always cherish this palette. And to think that when I first saw it, I could not really see the beauty of it. I didn't automatically look at it and say, wow, that is an amazing palette. I didn't. I just wanted it because Mel Thompson was my favorite YouTuber, and she's the first YouTuber I really started watching, and I was gonna get it. I was gonna get it regardless. But now when I look at this baby, yes, this palette is so everything. It is so everything. I think the springtime shades, like if I had to pick, would obviously be like Love Bug, Mantis, Jewel Bee, Flutterby. But I mean, as a whole, it's spring, but it's not like the Natasha Denona pastel spring. It's spring, but it's like we're in the soil. We're in the thick of it. And that's how I feel about this. In this palette, we're crawling around with the bugs. We're in the flora, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how she designed this palette, because Mel Thompson loves bugs and critters and nature, and I just think it was perfectly done. It is a perfect palette, y'all. Oh my gosh. And this palette is a perfect daytime palette, but you can also take it to the evening, you know, with the shade Spider. That gives some depth. Scarab, which is Red Chameleon from Sydney Grace, if you have that. It's just a really great palette. Fire Butts is one of the best shades in here. I would say top 10 palette in my collection. And how many palettes am I up to? I haven't added a whole lot, but I have to add the Nomad. It's still less than 220, which I know I was in the 300s before my declutter. So I'm still okay with the palette count right now. Still like to get it down, but I'm okay. This one would never be leaving though. I think this is a great palette. If this is a palette that you are still considering, and not still considering, but if it's a palette that you're considering, because I know there's some people that were like, oh, I never got that. And you know, it had gone out of stock and came back. This one right here, I think not only is it representative of Mel Thompson because she designed it, but it is very representative of the Sydney Grace quality. And let me say this as well. I don't know if they're thinking about changing this to the circle pan. My camera cut me off, and I'm gonna say it again. I don't know if they're considering changing this to circle pans. Get it before they change it to the circle pans. Circle pans are just not for this palette, and not for Enduring Love. But Enduring Love now has circle pans, y'all. The time and the moment has passed. So get this while you can in the square pans. Y'all know I'm a big stickler about square pans. And that's it. I would love to know what palettes you have that give you those spring vibes, that remind you of spring. Let me know if you are one to rotate your eyeshadow palette collection, or do you just wear what you want when you want, which is totally fine. Like I said, I got everything out. It's everywhere and all around. And I do need to figure out what to do about that, but that's not your issue, it is mine. So let me know what animal you would fight if you had to get in a fight with an animal. I'm just not sure. I'll have to put mine in the description box as well. Why did one of his friends say a jellyfish though? That's what I'm talking about. Like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna let you go and enjoy your day. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another Mimosas and Makeup. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe, and I will see y'all really soon. Bye.